Well, I don't know if you saw on my other channel, I did a video on how to make the perfect chest set without any bubbles or faults in it, and it's really easy to do. If you haven't seen it, check it out on my other video. But what I want to do is make a box where I can keep all my chest pieces in, nice and neat, both sets. So I've got this box here, and these are really cheap to get a hold of. I'll link them in the description below if you want to get hold of one. I'm going to jazz it up and turn it into a chest piece holder. Before I start on the box, what I'm going to do is cast my chest pieces that I'm going to stick to the outside of the box. This chest mold is not a great one, because you only get half the piece, so you have to cast it twice and then try and glue it together, and it doesn't really work out very well. But it's ideal for what I'm doing today, where this chest piece that I cast in resin actually comes out whole and you cast it in one piece. Much better. I'll link that in the description below as well in case you want to get hold of it. I'm going to use Resin-Crete for this. I know it'll give me a great result as a casting, but also it cures lovely and hard. So I've got my Resin-Crete mixed up. I am going to be moulding more than what I need, and the reason is because I sometimes do drop them, break them, or I use them in other projects as well. The great thing about Resin-Crete is the bubbles, because this is a nice thin mixture, the bubbles will come right up to the top and they will burst. Well, before I can do anything else, what I'm going to do is take off the clasp and the hinges and put them in a little pot so I don't lose them, because I will lose them if not, and then spend half an hour trying to look for them. So I always put them in something with a little lid on. By taking these off, it allows me to give it a sand with a fine sandpaper, just to take off any of the bits that may be sticking up that could ruin the final piece, and also just makes it so much easier to be able to paint and decorate. So I've got a fine sandpaper here on a sanding block, and all I've got to do is just run over it lightly, and that really does make the difference. It just gives you a nicer finish at the end, because as you can see on that bit, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but that has got a slightly puckered surface, and now that's all gone. Big thank you to everyone that got me a coffee last month as well. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It really does enable me to keep making the videos on this channel and to buy stuff to make the videos with. So thank you very much. Your names are coming up on the coffee board now. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, the link for that is in the description below, and you'll get on my coffee board. I'm currently saving up for a mini router so I can start cutting out some circles and different shapes on things. So next thing to do is I'm going to paint this all white. Because I'm going to do it black and white, I can actually make the black squares afterwards, and that's going to save me a little bit of detail painting. Now I'm going to give it 2 coats of white, and this is household white paint. It's an emulsion for interiors that works really well, and it's got a primer to it, so it's a primer as well. And once that's all painted white, then I can mark out where I'm going to put my black squares. Well, my box is all painted white now, and what I need to do is mark out this top so it's got 8 squares going across here. Now, I'm not bothered about how many squares it's got going down the sides, because it isn't a square top, so I'm not going to create a whole board from it, but I am going to have the squares going down the sides as well. And that's easy to do. All I need to do is measure the width of the lid, and that's 25 centimeters, and divide that by 8. And that will give me the size of each of the square. So that comes to 31 millimeters, or well, it's 31 and a quarter, but I'm going to just do 31. So I've marked off my 8 lines that I need, and now all I'm going to do is run down there with my square and mark those 8 off. So I've got my lines down there. Now I just need to draw my lines going down this way to join up with them. And now I've marked my lines down the side, I can do exactly the same thing here using my square. And now I've got my chessboard all marked off. Now unfortunately this top isn't as square as it should be, and as a result they're looking a little bit off here, but I needed to get that to be square on the top for the rest of them. But it's not quite square down that side. And because I want really nicely painted squared black edges to this, what I'm going to go and do is tape it all off. Now this is going to be a bit time consuming, but I don't have a steady hand, so I cannot do it. But if you've got a steady hand, then you probably don't need to do this step. So I know that's going to be white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, and then going across all the rest before I do any painting. Now you could probably print one of these off and do it as a decoupage if you really didn't want to do this, but I want to paint it. Because I just find it very therapeutic and relaxing to do detailed work like this. That's all marked off. It didn't take too long, and I've gone round and tried to ensure that all my edges are down. All I'm using now is a little bit of black paint and going over this wherever it's not marked off. Now I may have a few little wiggly lines, but I'm not too worried about that because it's still going to be a lot neater than if I was to do it with my shaky hand. And as my white's already down, I haven't got to worry about that. I may have to touch that up a little bit, but that's again not a problem. While that's drying, what I'm going to do is finish painting the box. Now, I've marked it all off how I want this because I'm not going to do this in a checker pattern. I'm going to have blocks of black and white. But if you want to do it in a checker pattern, you could. But this should be dry enough now to remove the tape. And I'm hoping it has given me some really nice, clean lines. And if it hasn't, then there is a way I can tidy this up. So far, it looks quite nice. Do another one. I let this dry a bit before I did this because I want to make sure that I don't push some wet paint onto the area because I know what I'm like. I know how clumsy I am. And that is a strong possibility that that could happen. So if the paper's dry, then I'm less likely to push this paint around. So I'm going to finish this off. And then when this one's dry, I'll also take that off and I'll show you how I'm going to mount chess pieces inside using a bit of foam. And also how I'm going to decorate the outside of the box. Well, I'm really pleased how the box has come out. What I'm going to do now is paint up a full set of the chess pieces in black and white. I am still going to paint the white ones, even though the resin creep couldn't be any whiter. It's lovely and bright white, just to protect it and to ensure that the white soaks in, and so it's nice and sealed and protected. These won't take too long to paint, and I will probably only need to give them one coat unless I miss any bits, and then I'll have to touch them up. Well, while the boxes and the pieces are drying, I've cut a piece of packaging foam, the stuff that you get when you buy stuff and it comes with foam, and I've drawn some black circles on it. I've got a wood drill bit here and I've found out that that fits those in really nice and smooth and tightly. So what I'm going to do is attempt to drill through these bits here like this to be able to fit these pieces in and put this inside the actual box itself, so I can slot all the bits in. Now, I would have preferred it to be white, but unfortunately, I didn't have any white foam, so you have to use what you got on hand. I wouldn't be able to cut out holes as neat as this using a Stanley knife or a blade, so that's why I'm using this technique. Well, the box is all dry now and it's ready for me to put the final varnish on it. What I'm going to do is put the pieces on after I've varnished it because I want those pieces to stay matte, and I'm going to be using a gloss varnish for this. And I'm going to do all the inside and the outside of the box in a gloss varnish. I could spray it, but we've not got a very nice day out there today, so I'm going to use a paint on one. And I'll give it a couple of coats of the gloss varnish all the way over to make sure that it's got a really nice sheen on it. This is lovely and dry now, and what I need to do is stick my chess piece holder in there, and what I'm going to be using for that is the spray impact glue. Now, it's not going to need an awful lot in here. All I need to do is put some on that bit and then some on this bit. Leave it a few moments, about 2-3 minutes, and then I can push it together. Well, that should have had long enough now to be able to push this in and push this down. What I would suggest is you wait for all the glue on the bottom to be dried before you put any chess pieces in or anything in there, because the last thing you want to do is stick them to the bottom of that while that glue is still wet. But that will stick that in there lovely. And now I need to put all my hinges and my latch back on. And because I've kept them all in a little pot with the lid on, I haven't lost them and I know where they are. So I'm in two minds now whether to put the chess pieces on this, because I really like the way this top has come out. But actually, I did make them for this, so I'm going to put them on. Yeah, I'm definitely going to put them on. I'll be using Yoo-Hoo all-purpose glue for this, because if any spills out, I know it dries lovely and clear, and you're not going to see it and it glues down really well, especially onto top of this varnish. And it'll be very permanent as well. So once I've done that, it's all dry. I'll show you what it looks like finished. Well, it's all finished now. I'm really pleased with it. Those pieces aren't going to go anywhere. They are nicely stuck on there. And also the foam is in the middle as well. I love the way it's come out. And these pieces, they come out nice and easy, but they are held in there really firm. You could even drill some holes into this bit and put some checkers in it if you wanted to. I love that. I think it's a really great accompaniment to the chess set I made. I varnished the top but left the actual pieces matte because I think that way they stand out a little bit more. Well, I hope you like that. Nice and easy to do. Really love doing up boxes. If you want to see how I did other boxes as well, then I'll link one at the end of this video. Boot that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your crafting. Bye.